my very first S13 when I was 14 years old, and it was probably the best decision of my life. I think that the very first car is pretty hard to forget. Everybody got a story of their first car, but I think my story with this car is pretty wild. So I really wanted to make this video for a long time that explained how I got my car and how and why I wanted a car at 14 years old. So let's get it. I'm gonna finally explain to you guys how I got my Nissan S13 240SX Coupe at 14 years old. So I don't have to present to you guys this car anymore. You guys all know it. It's like the main character of the channel. Right now we got the VQ swap in it. The only thing stuck right now is the rear subframe. Pretty much, that's it. Okay, so where it all started. So basically, I was a nerd and I was playing video games a lot. And I always wanted to modify my cars, be different than others. And I came back into an old clip of Fast and Furious. And I knew that my dad wasn't a fan of video games, but he was a fan of cars and everything that has an engine in it. Of course, he's a mechanic also, that helped. And so I came to him, I showed him some Fast and Furious clips, I showed him some JDM Cars clips at the time to like see his reaction and make me laugh a little. This obsession, this passion kind of like grew into me at the point where I was only thinking about cars. I was only playing video games that has cars in it that I could modify. And also I was really addicted to Skylines. When I was checking like the Nissan menu on the video games, especially on Forza, I saw that the 240SX was kind of cool, and I saw the Silvia S13 and I thought that it was the coolest car ever and you could do anything you want with them, but also that you could drift them. And so that's it, the obsession was born. I now needed a Nissan in my life. I was searching for a Skyline, but remember at the time I was only 13 years old. So when I was 14, like the legal age to work, I got myself a job at McDonald's, the same one as my sister worked. It was pretty easy for me to like get a job. And remember, I was still in high school at the time, so I didn't have a lot of money, but I was still looking at cars, and Skylines were between 8 to like 15 grand, depends on what cars you would get. I was looking for 4 doors and GTST, of course, also, but I really wanted like a 2-door coupe, and that's where I came across the 240SX. And at the time, the 240SX wasn't that expensive. It was starting to get expensive. At the time, we are like in 2018, 2019, 2018. Yeah, 2018. And so I was looking for, what's ironic and really funny is that I wanted like kind of an MLZ spec. I also came across an MLZ and that changed also everything. But so I was looking for a 240SX hatch with a pop-up front end. And what's funny is that I came across this coupe with a silver front, and I was like, I'm gonna have to give it a shot. It's the cheapest on Marketplace right now. And for a good reason also. But the year goes by, I was looking at every 240SX, every car. I was also looking at Mustangs and 350Z since the 240SX was starting to get expensive. And my dad already warned me that these are old cars and that things are not like as it looks on YouTube. So I didn't listen to him, and I really wanted a 240SX, even though I was looking for Mustangs, 350Z, and all other cars, rear-wheel drive platforms. The year's end, I had a little bit of money on me, and I decided that we were looking at this car. So at the time, the car was listed for 3,000 bucks, which was really cheap at the time. Kind of still expensive for what this was. And I think you guys kind of know where I'm going with it. Why it was cheap? It was cheap to get some kid like me who really wanted an S13 and not wanted to pay much. So I got this. I really fell in love with the silver front, which was weird because I really wanted a pop-up front end. Anyways, we started looking at the car. I am in love. I got stars in my eyes. Already in my head, starting to like see what kind of body kits I would put on it, what kind of engine I would put in it. Shit. So my dad opens the driver's side door, started digging in, and found a big hole, like this huge, in the floor. And I remember like it was yesterday. He took the carpet, he slammed it on the ground, and he looked at me and he said, "Please don't buy that shit." And I look at my mom, and my mom was like, "I could negotiate it." So the engine was not in the car also. It had a hole in the shock tower. A lot of rust issues, really. But the passenger side was kind of good. And the engine, well, it has been rebuilt and put it aside with the transmission. It was missing the gas tank, was missing the drive shaft. So I was missing a lot of parts. I didn't even have the coil. You know, on a K24E, you got the coil, the distributor, and it goes into the cylinders to make the spark. I explained it really brightly. Anyways, little did you know, of course, I'm so glad that my mom negotiated because this car was wrong. But still, it has full interior, Sylvia front. So I paid the car, and I know you guys will not be ready. I paid the car 1,800 bucks. Yeah, that's the deal. That's a really good deal. So yeah, the car was cheap, but I had a lot of time to put into it. And so my dad really wanted me to keep the K24E because the goal with it was to drift. And the main goal I wanted with this thing initially was to street drift. I wanted a street car that I could drift with. And since the overall shape of the car and how bad it was rusted, my dad come to me and said, you gotta have to make a decision because I cannot like wire all turn signals and shit because you know your fuse box is in multiple cables, and it was. the wiring on that car, like the body harness was trash. And so yeah, we rebuilt it once. We put it in the car, starting running after all the repair work of the rust. That's why also it got a cage in it. My parents didn't want me to have the car that I could drift on without being safe. So the car was mainly built with safety in mind, which is a good thing actually. So yeah, we put the cage in it. We make the engine run. I'm the happiest kid. So the car runs. In my head, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna go drifting like tomorrow. No, no, it was puffing coolant and everything was wrong with the engine. Also, it was leaking everywhere. And worst case, I blew it up doing a burnout in the driveway at home. How? Basically, the crankshaft wasn't straight. Yeah, that's it. I spilled the tea. The crank was bent and it wasn't turning right. How did we know? Because when we tear apart the engine, of course, the bearings were completely eaten out. My dad has a Christmas gift. He went ahead and bought another K24E for very cheap at the junkyard. And when we tear it apart and we put the crankshaft of this one in my block, it started turning so smooth. So I wasted a lot of money on the K24E, but it made its proof. And now it's in the 240H, which I'm pretty grateful. I drifted for a good old like 4 or 5 years. It was a blast. I learned everything with this car. I learned how to wrench, I learned how to drive, what it was like to put coilovers, to put a welded diff in. It was a blast. For real, all the things that I learned with it, I'm really grateful of this experience. And so the years goes by, and then the K is slow as fuck. I was clutch kicking like a motherfucker. So that's why we got the VQ swap. And so of course, when I didn't have enough power to keep up with the other people at the track and do tandems, I came to my dad and I was like, should we turbo the K or swap an engine? And at the time, it still is, my dream engine swap in an S13 coupe is either a 1JZ, of course turbo, RB25 or SR20. That was the engine options that I had, but keep in mind, I'm still young. When we came at the time, so a good 4 years after, I was 18. So I was working full time. All the options of engines that I told you were so expensive that I had to make another choice. So I went with another Nissan engine that a few people talked to me about. And that's where I got the VQ 37VHR engine. And then the rest is a story. You guys already know the swap, how it went. I got a series on the channel if you guys didn't watch. I painted the engine bay pink also, a few bits of the inside. And we are now at this point. And so what's the project with it in the future? So we did the swap, the car is now running. We gotta do a good tune on it so it's running right and maybe get a little bit of more power, you know? Yeah, that's where we're at. Aesthetically, I wanna do so much more. I wanna put some over fenders in the back. I wanna put some better wheels. I wanna have like the coolest car at the grid, but still with my identity behind. That's why I got the unsatisfied stickers that I made myself because I'm never satisfied with the build. I always want more. Flames on the taillight, that's the same thing. I think that this car should be one color. I already kind of did what I wanted to on the interior, but I think it's missing like a radio and some street bits a little. I'm older now and the car is really more solid than it was. So we maybe got the plans to put it back in the streets. So I maybe wanted to tint the windows, either chrome, either black, I'm not sure. That's pretty much it for the story of my S13 coupe. I really hope that you guys liked it. If so, go ahead and click the like below. I want to hear your story, guys. What are the story of your first car? Do you still have your first car yet? Or did you sold it? Tell me everything in the comments. I'm pretty curious to read it. And on that, we'll see you guys in another one. Peace.